Today I've been checking out the new Ready or Not Dark Waters DLC, which is out now and costs £8.49. First up, if you don't know what Ready or Not is, well, remember them old school tactical shooters like SWAT 4 and Rainbow Six? Well, it's kind of like them, but without the planning or setup. I still hope they work on this, as it is one thing that lets the game down a little. You can play with friends, or actually mainly competent AI teammates. It tries going for that more realistic approach and feel, so like it does try and have missions that maybe most of the games wouldn't cover. It's all set in a city based on the real life Los Angeles. You play as a SWAT commander type thing. You have to manage your team, and there's a campaign. It's just a series of missions, but they get harder and harder as you progress, and then you're scored on your performance. So it's like S tier if you do really well, or like C minus, like I normally get when I'm shooting too many people. The developer also embraces mods, which is really good to see. There are a boatload of them to improve most aspects of the game with new maps, uniforms, guns, and so. However, I will say it does have some issues. AI is particularly frustrating. There's bugs galore, especially ragdoll physics when you're arresting someone, and there's some quality of life issues all going on. But the developers are pretty active, and just check out the reviews for yourself. If you can see past those issues, you've got a very good game here. My major gripe, I just wish it felt a bit more SWAT-y. You know, like if you watch the TV show SWAT, maybe some extra problem solving going on, clues to find, have a bit more personality with your teammates, and don't get me started with no sprint. It makes every map just seem so much bigger. Anyways, so the reason we're here is for the DLC. So what do you get for your £8.49? Well, you get 3 new maps, some new weapons, uniform and helicopter support. However, the guns you can use without the DLC. The maps, I have to say, are a step up. They are beautiful and they're pretty good. However, I do feel the maps are all less SWAT and more some sort of military task force, which is a shame. The trailer showed an attempted political assassination, and I was thinking, wow, we get to hunt down the organization. All the missions are linked. Maybe the first mission we're in there and we're protecting the, we're protecting the VIP or something. But no, it's not like that at all. First up is Mirage at Sea, which basically takes place on a well-guarded luxury yacht, and you have to clear the rooms as you go. For me, this was probably one of the most boring maps visually, but it worked the best as it's small scale and interesting to explore, because it felt a bit more like this would be a bit more SWAT-y maybe, and also the helicopter worked well here because it could look over most of the area. Next up is an offshore oil rig which has been overrun by eco-terrorists who begin executing the workers on board, and it's up to you to save the day. This one is visually interesting. I think it looks really good, but it's far too big. You're 5 guys taking down a whole oil rig and on one playthrough, and I couldn't find the last person to kill, and it was really annoying. Next up is 3 Letter Triad, which is an abandoned island resort, which is all like run down and crumbling. It looks brilliant, to be fair, but I thought this one again was just way too big, and the gang members are all super trigger happy and they just shoot you constantly, but I did like the art style it was going for in this one. Uniform and gun wise, you get a bunch of them. Some are included in the base game, as I said. You'll get the MK17, GA51, M14S, the MP5 and G3 rifles. You also get 2 bunches of uniforms, which is the VBSS, which is Visit Board Search and Seizure, and also Atlas Association. AI in this one, you say it's kind of improved, but I found it a little bit annoying. They kept murdering non-armed civilians. Like I was just standing there clearing the boat and all I saw was civilian killed. 2 minutes later, civilian killed. I was like, will you stop shooting them? And when I walked around the corner, it was just a bunch of dead civilians. Honestly, they need to sort that out. Now, moving on to the helicopter aspect, it's almost like an uncontrollable drone. You can use it via your tablet. It will shine light on enemies and spot them, but I think it could do with more control, or maybe like a sniper on board, or just something to make it a bit more useful. It's a good addition, but it needs to do a little bit more. So in conclusion, I would say this DLC is actually a step in the right direction. You're getting the helicopter support, an improved story, and I must say map design is great. I just don't think the game works well with large maps. They didn't feel very SWAT-y. As I said, it felt more like it was some sort of military group. The maps are just too large. It needs some sort of better system for larger maps, like maybe an AI controlled team, or maybe you could work a certain area of the map and then an AI team works another area, you know, and you kind of work together to achieve the objective. Maybe in multiplayer these work a little bit better, but I felt in single player that didn't really work. I will say Ready or Not is probably one of the most polished SWAT games out there, but I think it should focus on small scale real life SWAT operations, and the assassination kind of thing I think could have worked really well if the maps and missions were revolved around that rather than just these 3 random events. Is it worth £8 for a few maps? I would say the quality is there. It's not stupidly expensive, but at the end of the day, it's just a few maps. But you know, in this case, it's probably just up to you and if you see a few maps is worth it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that there. Catch us all later. Goodbye.